the Lord Lieutenant, Lord Mayor, Rabbi Aaron, Reverend St. Miriam, rabbis, dignitaries, guests, ladies and gentlemen. We have all come here today as this synagogue, this shul, will soon be knocked down. As the Jewish community here in Newcastle has continued to dwindle, we're now faced with the reality that we can no longer sustain a building such as this. This is difficult for us all. We've all prayed here, we've all mourned here, and we've all celebrated here. I was married here, my sons were bar mitzvahed here, but my family and I have a further reason to feel emotional today, as my father, Leonard Netz, was the architect who designed this shul. But today's Father's Day serves to give these emotions extra resonance. The firm that Dad co-founded and worked for, Waring and Netz, had a wide and impressive portfolio at the time that he, along with an able committee, took on the task of building a new shul. The firm was renowned for work designing hospitals, health centres, social housing and civic buildings. But never before had they or he designed a place of worship. How often does such an opportunity arise, especially when it is your particular place of worship? The enormity of the task was not lost on him, and the responsibility weighed heavily on his shoulders. It was the only time I ever saw him smoke. Whilst he was undoubtedly stressed throughout the whole process, he was also determined, and in my view, ultimately highly successful. At the time, again due to the community shrinking, 2 shuls were being closed, and one on Leazes Park Road had been closed only a few years earlier. 2 of these buildings were old and much loved, each with a grandeur that respected the long traditions of the Jewish religion. How do you go about replacing these institutions that held such a special place in the hearts and minds of the community? Specifically, how do you also create a new building that represents old traditions? And how can you design a building that facilitates the spiritual experience for those who go there? With my recent and brief forays into the literature or anything to go by, he will have found little reassurance there. A shul, it says, is fraught with meaning. It must be a mini sanctuary that means all things to all people. It must meet religious design rules, maximize the use of light and darkness, and have perfect proportions. It must allow for prayer, assembly, and teaching, and so must be flexible and adaptable, and all this on the strictest of budgets. Even when all this is achieved, however, the literature warns that ultimately the experience of being in a new building can in no way be anticipated. I can only speak personally when I say that he achieved all of these goals. Every time I walk into the shul, which as the rabbi quite rightly reminds me is not nearly as much as I should, it still impresses me, still makes me proud. I know he took inspiration from the Street Lane Synagogue that had at the time been recently built in Leeds, but this shul is certainly no copy. There are many personal and unique features, my favourite being the Jerusalem stone that you can see behind me. 5 years before the shul was built, we were on a family holiday to Israel, and I remember a passing comment he made about how much he liked the local stone. Mum and I, of course, thought no more of it, until that is when it appeared in all its splendour in our new shul, a symbol in my mind of the level of thought, creativity and effort that went into designing this building. Apart from the steadily deflating seat cushions, an easy metaphor for the size of our community, the shul has worn well over the years, a further testament to good design and attention to detail. If my father were here today, he would not be showing any sadness, but instead would be focusing his attention on how to make our new shul as good as it could possibly be, and being positive about the future. And I, for one, will be trying to do the same. Thank you.